Welcome to Hispanic Biz. I'm Homero Galicia. We interview successful business owners to learn from them their story. You know, every business has a story. Today we have a great story, a story of the history of El Paso and the history of a wonderful business. Our special guests are Mr. Juan Barcenas and Juan Barcenas Jr., who own and operate A&B Labels. Thank you, Mr. Barcenas and John, for being with us today. I appreciate your being with us. John, what is A&B Labels?
A&B Labels is we are a full commercial printing operation. We do all types of printing, from flyers, invitations, product labels, industrial labels, anything you can think of we can do, and we do it all in-house.
Yeah, I asked to bring some samples of labels, and I wanted you to just show me a couple of what labels are.
Our major part of our business is labels, which are product labels and industrial labels. A lot of these go on products that are in the market, and there are a lot of local companies that we deal with. And we do all types of printing for envelopes, for offices, and everything that you can think of we can do.
But your specialty is labels.
Labels is our specialty.
And how many employees do you have now?
Right now we have 17.
And where are you located?
We're at 7245 Copper Queen. We're in the Copperfield Industrial Park down by Tony Lama and Hawkins.
Good, thank you. Mr. Barcenas, when did you start the business?
I started in 1978.
Wow, and where did you get your training?
I worked for Farrah for 20 years.
And what did you do at Farrah?
I was in charge of the printing business in that place.
What kind of printing did they do?
We printed every single label that went on a pair of pants that had Farrah name on it. We did everything inside of that building, or buildings where we were. We didn't send any work out. Everything was done inside. And we grew with the company. As the company grew, our shop grew to a point where at one point we had 60 people working under us.
In the print shop?
Yes.
60 people?
Yes.
Wow, that was big. Wow. Well, let me ask you, Mr. Barcenas, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the second ward.
Uh-huh.
I was born on Alameda Street. Then they moved us to 5th in Oregon. And then from there we went on to the Olive Street address. And that's where we spent most of our time before we started going to high school.
How many brothers and sisters?
I have one sister and 5 brothers.
And what are their names? Because everybody knows about it somewhere, right?
Well, we have, we'll start with Norbert, who's the oldest. And then we have my brother Gus, my brother Alfonso, and then me, then my younger brother Mario, and that makes the group. And sadly, it's only me and my younger brother left in the family.
Really?
They all have passed away.
Wow. And your father, what did your father do?
My father came from Puebla. And when he got here, he started selling shoes. Everywhere there was a shoe shop, my dad would work. He worked a long time for Given Brothers shoe store. And after that, he got some ideas about doing business in Juarez. And he started the bar business. And at one time, in his older years, he owned 5 bars in Juarez. Wow. Which is, to own one, that's something else. But 5.
So you grew up knowing what business is?
I grew up at Olive.
Mm-hmm. And what high school did you go to?
I went 1 year to Bowie High School, and then I transferred to Cathedral, and I graduated from Cathedral High School.
Why did you go to Cathedral? Why did you want to go to Cathedral?
Well, my 2 cousins that I went through school in grade school went that way, and I went to Bowie, and it was more of a monetary problem. They had the money, I didn't. So I went to Bowie, and I attended Bowie for 1 year. I after school, I worked, and I started saving money to be able to register at Cathedral.
So you paid your own way through Cathedral?
Oh,
You paid your way through Cathedral?
oh yes, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. Of course, I had a football scholarship,
Okay.
which was $10 a month. You know? And later I found out that $10 was for everybody.
Oh,
So there was no scholarship.
okay.
But they said I was going to get a scholarship. They let me in right away,
Okay. So you played football.
right?
And after high school, what did you do?
Well, I graduated pretty early in my late 16-year-old. And my mom kept telling me, you're too young to leave for college. So I spent 2 years here in El Paso working, putting money away. And then finally one of my brothers come to me and he says, I'm over at East Texas State Teachers College. Go with me. I have paved the way, you know. So I went after him, and sure enough, I was accepted. But I didn't know it was a Air Force school, and I liked it. My dream was always to fly, and I did very well with my Air Force classes. I was on top,
Really?
except you know when the Air Force found out that I had a little problem here, and they talked to me and said, we can never give you a pilot license or get you into a pilot school because your ear problem. So that disappointed me so much that I didn't go back. I sent all this is kind of a funny story, you know. I sent all my clothing back except the shoes. And the funniest thing about it all, the FBI came to pick up the shoes.
Oh, really? Did what you keep?
Once they pick up the shoes, the Army or the government sent me one of those nice greeting cards, report to Fort Bliss. And I did. I had to go to Fort Bliss and get tested for induction into the Army. And I didn't pass it. So they pushed me off to the civilian life, you know, and that's when I started working at FARA.
Did you finish college?
No, I didn't. I went 2 years,
Okay.
and that's when I dropped out because of that reason that
Yeah.
I couldn't be a pilot.
And how did you get the job at FARA?
I'll tell you, I was working at that Given Brothers store. They had their only print shop inside, in-house. And I don't know how they found out about me, but Mr. Farah, Willie, called me, and he said, come see me. So I did. I went up to see him on a Saturday morning. He walked out, and he looked at me, and he says, you're in. He pulled me in. So I guess he wanted me that bad. And he let me learn a little bit of what they were doing in the process of printing. So finally one day he came over and he says, you're now in charge of it.
Wow.
And that's where it all caught on and went on. He did a lot for me. He was a very kind man, very good man. He sent me off to a lot of seminars, some printing schools for short courses. And he later on said, we got to come up with something new. So I said, I have an idea about a machine. He says, well, go at it. So I did. I started traveling to New York quite a bit, where I met with different people from different companies that were machinists. And I told them what I wanted a machine to do. And we started putting one together. And very soon that new law came in about using care instruction label in all the clothing. And then they said, everybody's got to go to it. Before, you know, you didn't know how to wash a pair of pants.
Oh,
You just throw it in the well, at that time there was very few washing machines. So you just scrubbed them.
Right.
But then after the instructions came out from the government, I got contacted by Mr. Senator Gerald Ford, and he said, I need to talk with you about this label problem that we have. And so we sat down and talked about it at his office, and I suggested to him certain things about the washing label. And he liked the idea, so he said, we're going to pass the law,
Wow.
and we're going to pass it this way, where we required 10 washings before the label started fading out. So there was no ink in the world that would stand 10 washings.
Oh, I see.
So we worked with DuPont and different companies to develop an ink that would wash. And so they came up with it, several companies. And then the machine was ready. So we bought 4 machines into Farrah. We switched everything over, started doing nothing but printed washing instruction labels, and it worked pretty good.
So were you printing for other companies as well?
No.
Just for Farrah?
It was all dedication to Farrah. That was it.
Well, so you were there 20 years managing the print shop at Farrah, and that was a huge plant. It was very big.
Right? We, at one time, I think, if I remember the numbers right, we had something about 14,500 people
Really?
sewing.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Sure, we had plants in San Antonio, Victoria,
Okay.
El Paso. Even Las Cruces, we had a plant out there, which nobody even ever
Yeah.
remember Las Cruces.
Yeah. And no, I was asking you if you knew my aunt's husband, Mr. Pete Villaverde, and he was, I guess, the comptroller for.
He was the controller, sure.
And you were telling me you know him, and
We knew him from family-wise before, a long time before. He knew my older brother very well. They all worked together at the Popular, I think, at
Okay.
that time. So
okay.
once they all separated, Mr. Villadero went to work for Mr. Farrah, and when I walked in there and I saw him, how you doing? How are you?
Old friends.
Yeah, friends.
That's neat. I appreciate the story. So you worked 20 years, and then what spurred you to go start your own business then?
Well, you know, if you know a little bit about the story about Farrah, we started having problems with the union, then we had problems with selling our stuff because of the union, and I was so close to the front office that I knew I could read and see what was going on. Changing of administration so often, you know, is not good for any kind of business. And they were doing that. They were, you know, Willie went out. They kept bringing all this high-class presidents and everything, directors, and, you know, and I could, out of instinct, I could just tell you that there was a problem there. See, when we used to print all the letters that Farrah mailed out, I had to read all of them. So I knew there was a big problem, especially when they decided that I shouldn't be reading any more of that.
Oh, really?
So they pulled out all the letter business out of there, and they started doing it inside the office with somebody new, you know. So I said, there is a problem, you know. So I started thinking about it, the future, and I could see that our sales were way down bad, and a lot of stuff that went bad, you know, a lot of people leaving. So I decided I better get ready. You know, I have 4 kids to raise. And I talked to some people from the SBA. I talked to people in the printing business. I already knew more or less what was missing in El Paso in the printing business. So I looked around in the East Coast where it's marvelous, you know. The East Coast is so far ahead of us that you see things over there that you won't see here in 20 years. And I saw those new process of printing, and I said, well, maybe this is what we need down there. Being that we had about 20, 25 clothing manufacturers, you know. So I said, that's the business. You know, I knew most all of it. So I started with the SBA and telling them the stories about this new business. And I did all my calculating, my paperwork, and I passed it on to them, and they started me with $100,000 right off the bat.
Where'd you get the $100,000 from?
The SBA.
Okay.
Yeah, and thing is that, you know, when you're not in business, you're in-house like I was. You don't foresee all the other little problems that you're going to have in a business, you know. You don't care about taxes, you don't care about property taxes, personal taxes, insurance, and all that kind of stuff. And it got real tough. So I went back to the SBA and I said, you know, the first $100,000 you loaned me, you forced me to pay all the machinery. Now I don't have no operating capital. So they said, well, how much more do you need, you know? And I asked them for another $75,000. And they, right away, I mean, 3 days later, I had a check.
Wow, that's great.
They were very efficient. The SBA at that time was very efficient.
Wow. So, so when you started the business, you already had a family. John, let me ask you, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 older sisters and 1 younger brother. In the business, I have one of my sisters and my brother that are both there with us, and we've all been there pretty much. That's been our career.
So you grew up in the business?
I grew up in the business, yes. I've been there since I was 14.
Wow.
And
so when you started working the business at 14, the business had already been operating a few years? Or?
No, that was in '78.
Oh, you started when it...
I started when he started. I would go in and do whatever needed to be done. My sister, she was at UTEP and she got her degree and she went on to work and then came back, and she's been with us since the late '90s, and my brother's been with us since the late '90s.
And what's your sister's name?
Sandra.
And what does she do?
She's in charge of all the finance.
Okay.
And then there's Daniel. He's in charge of the production and sales. And then we have, like I said, it is a family business. I've got my son now that works with us, and I have two cousins that are in there. And throughout the years, we've had numerous family members come and go whenever.
So you own all the employees?
Yes.
And you have employees that are still with you, that have been with you for years?
Our retention is very good. We have employees that have been with us for 25 years. Some of them have family that are in there with us, father, sons, cousins, brothers. We've had that, and most of the employees we have now have been with us for at least 10 years or longer.
Wow. Let me ask you about your mother. What's your mother like?
My mom, she was more the homemaker. She took care of us at home. She made sure we were fed, had our lunch, and she really never was into the business, but she made sure when we got home we were well taken care of.
A big family.
Yes.
Where did you live at the time?
We lived on the east side by Eastwood.
Okay.
I attended Eastwood, and
Okay.
it was my sister attended Eastwood, and my brother attended Cathedral. He went to Cathedral too.
And then did you go on to college after that?
I attended college for 3 years, and at that time, I started kind of taking over some of the major parts in the business, and it just got hard to juggle, and we were still young in the business and everything, and I thought, this is what I want to do. And so I went full-time into work.
Wow. Let me ask you, what kind of a father is your dad?
He's a great mentor. I look up to him, and everything that I can see in my life, I see after him. You know, he was always there for us, even though he had a lot of things to do at FARA, and when he got out of there, and he started his own business, and there was a lot of time. No matter what, whether it was one of his children or grandchildren, if they had something to do, he was always there to support them in the audience.
Wow, that's fantastic. Mr. Barcenas, what kinds of, you know, you're talking about the challenges of having to learn how to run a business. Who helped you? Did you find people that helped you along the way?
Well, I knew quite a few people in the printing business, and I picked on them, you know. I hired some of them who knew how I worked and what my demands were, and they all went along with me, and they helped me a lot. And while I was out, I used to go out and sell. Okay, I used to go to Juarez and spend a whole day out there. At that time, the people that were there and John would take care of the plant, so that was quite a bit of help.
Sure.
Now, as we took in new people, we trained them the way we work, not the way they knew, you know, because, you know, there's all kinds of people that can ask for a job. But we trained them the way we work, and it was very successful doing that, you know. My people that I had all faith in helped me a lot. You know, they took over the business while I was out. With John there, well, he pushed them all too, you know. He was already broken into the business. So he did a lot to carry me while I did a lot outside. I used to, you know, I used to go face everybody. I got friendly with everybody. I made them compadres, you know. That's one of the main things in business. They better be your compadre so you don't get nothing, you know. And that's a lot of, I was surprisingly, you know, being from inside out, I was surprised that'll work, you know. They start calling you a compadre, you're in, you know, you start getting business, especially in Mexico, you know. In Mexico, that's a big time call. Compadre is a compadre, and they respect you for that.
So what's a compadre?
Well, a real one, you know what it is, you baptize one of your kids.
Right.
But in business, you baptize them, you know, by taking them out to dinner,
Okay.
having a few drinks with them, helping them out in the best way you can. I kept a lot of people out of trouble because they would oversee ordering certain materials, and then they come up on the production and they wouldn't have them. See, they call me and says, I need this in 1 hour, you know. I'd get down and make it in 1 hour and go deliver it.
Wow.
So that I keep that guy out of trouble.
Yeah.
And ladies too, you know. It got so close with them that I didn't have to go see them. They called me.
Wow. John, you operate that way too now.
Yes, we still run that type of business that we learned from him. Coming out of FARA, he knew that if they shut a line down, they would be in trouble. And one of the things he's always taught us is, you know, the people are going to forget to order, and if they shut a line down, that's a lot of money of downtime. So we have companies that, you know, they forget to order, so they call up and we need something right away, and our deal is we're going to do our best to get them out of trouble and keep their production moving, because we don't want anybody to have downtime. And with that type of service, that's what has built our business, and getting everything on time, helping somebody out.
When your father talks about our way of doing things, what is that? What is that? What does that mean?
Customer comes first. That's what I look at it as. When he says our way of doing it is, you know, we're gonna help the customer out. We're gonna be there every step of the way with them. We're gonna get them what they need when they need it, help them out if they have new projects. Person to person, you know, we're all family, so it's working, you know, like their family, and we want to try to help everybody out.
But you got a lot of clients. I mean, that's a lot of people to take care of.
It is, and it's challenging, but with the personnel we have and everybody inside knowing what everything's going on, it's if one person's missing, someone else will step in, and we can keep the flow moving. So we know what we have to do, and if we have to jump jobs and get something out, that's what we do. And if we have to stay late to get it out for the next day, we'll stay late and get it out.
So these principles that you started your business with, you've carried them through. You've stayed with those and passed them on to your children.
To my children, sure. That's what I saw that worked. It worked for me very, very good. It's still working. It's quite changed.
And you learned these at Farah, or you developed
Well,
these?
no, at Farah it was mostly, it was we were very separated from everybody. All we had to do is get the package together and ship it, you know. Here it's person to person, outside in the business, you know. You have to go to meet somebody. Over there, I didn't have to meet anybody in the lines. Just ship it to the line and let them take care of it, you know. And it was part of my nature being, you know, get along with everybody. And I did. I got along with a lot of people. I still do. I have a lot of good friends. And to change the subject a little bit, something that I missed and I feel bad about it is when you said, we talked about financing, the number one thing, anybody wants to get into any kind of business, get you a good bank. You gotta have a good bank and a good banker behind you. If you don't, you got problems, you know, because once the economy starts getting bad, the bankers are the first one that come and knock on your door. Now, the little story that I have behind me, and I don't think there's still anybody that can beat it, was when I went and talked to Mr. Rogers, Jonathan, the mayor, and I invited him to go see how I was operating. We were spread so big in this little house that anytime we got a shipment of paper, we had to park it in the alley.
Oh.
Because we didn't have, and then at night we pulled it in, put it on one side of the machine, you know. And he saw that. He saw that we had a lot of potential. And we had already made plans for the new building. And he says, I said, I need you to finance my new building. And he saw the plans, and this is unbelievable. And I don't think there's anybody that can tell you this story. That I went in one morning, and he says, how much do you need? And I said, $2.5 million. And he said, the answer was, what bank account do you want it? Now, tell me, you ain't gonna faint there or feel like your blood just squirting out. But this is his answer.
Wow.
And 3 days later, I had that money.
Wow. I've known Mr. Barcenas when he was expanding and build a new business, build a new building. I was part of a program that did a 504 SBA loan. So you built your business, you built your new building. In what year was that, Mr. Barcenas?
What was it?
1996.
96. And I appreciate you coming and sharing your story, because I've wanted to have your story told, because I remember, how big is the building? John, how big is the building now?
Our building is 32,000 square feet.
Wow, it's a big building.
It's a big building.
It's a big printer.
Yeah, we use probably 3/4 of it, and the other half is for warehousing. But no, it was built around our needs.
So why did you need another building?
Why did I get another building? Because we were working out in the alley down on Yandell Street. It's the same, like I had said before. We get deliveries of paper, we had to put them in the alley during the day and then bring them in at night, because we ran out of space. We grew so fast. I never imagined that building was not big enough.
You grew fast.
Right. Too fast. Our accounts just started building up because we had a good story behind us, good service, on time, good qualities. We took care of our buyers, so that the word got around, and our business just grew.
So by the time you started in what, 78?
78.
You started your business, and you built a new business when again?
We got our new building in 96.
So in 15, 16 years, the business grew quite a bit, and you had to expand. I remember going into your business on Yandell in front of the old bakery. Is that
Right.
where it was?
Mhm.
The Rainbow, or what?
It was Rainbow.
Rainbow Bakery there on Yandell. And I remember seeing piles or stacks of paper, boxed paper in the alley, because you didn't have the warehouse space. And I remember you got a 504 loan program from the SBA. But you were telling us how important it is to have a banker, and you saw that process, John. What was that like?
We did that in around 95, and that's when we had our building built. In 1996, we moved in, and we also, he was presented with Small Business Entrepreneur, SBA Entrepreneur of the Year, which we think there's a lot of people to thank, but back then it was, Bank of the West, which is now Westar, and they've been behind us 100%. We wouldn't switch banks. They've helped us so much. We have Bert Blacksher, Jerry Harris, and Adrian Santiago that are been working with us for years, and can't do it without them. And they were back behind us then, and they're still there now.
Why is that? Why is it important to have a good bank behind you?
Well, just like anything else, around 2008, when the economy started fluttering and a lot of businesses from the area started leaving, you have savings and stuff, but it does, you start eating into it, and you try figuring out different ways to, run the business. And to have a good banker behind you that sits down with you and helps your needs and move things around, that's always a good thing to have, and they've been there for us.
Yeah. Mr. Barcenas, you were sharing that you ran the print shop for Farah for 20 years, and you had a crew. It grew up to a crew of 60, so it was a big print shop. And as we were preparing for the interview, what we realized was the building we're in, which is a community college building off of Viscount, is right behind the old Farah building, but this was a Farah building.
Right.
I remember it as a Tonka
Correct.
Toys building, but John, you were telling me that the Tonka came in much later. And
Yeah, they were in here later after Farah had shut down. They moved in for quite a few years, and they were one of our customers that we had until they shut down and left, and then community college took over it.
So community college has building A and building B, and you were saying that building B used to be a machine shop.
Right.
So Farah was big.
Oh, definitely.
And and Mr. Farah was a legend. And you did you learn from Mr. Farah?
I learned a lot of little things that people never had a chance to learn, because I would hear things that he would not go and let out in the plant. You know, he probably had people in there that he could talk to, but to me, where I was standing, I was listening to him most of the time, and some decisions he was making, and those stayed in my mind. You know, of how to run a company. Of course, I couldn't compare mine with his, but they were smart, very smart decisions according to me, to my thinking. So I used a little bit of that for my business.
Do you recall one of those principles?
Well, I would not comment on it still, okay? Because even though the company is erased and gone,
Really?
it's something that he always had in confidential talk, you know, that I want to keep it that way. I don't want to.
You still have a loyalty to Mr.
Sure. I mean, I love that man.
Okay.
He did a lot for me.
John, did you ever get to meet Farris?
No, I never did. I was 14 when my dad started, so it was something that he had done before that, and I went in there a couple of times, and I mean, the building that's now the Fountains of Farah, the building that was down there was just massive. I remember going in on a Saturday with my dad and seeing golf carts and bicycles all over the place, because that's how they had to get around. But I met a lot of the people that worked for him, and after everything, they started their own business, and they had successful businesses in the textile business. I met a lot of them, and they were great people, and obviously, if they all came out of the same place and they all had the same work ethics, something was done right.
And some of the business came from those people that went and started new businesses out of Farah. Is that where you got some of your business?
Yeah. Sadly, some of those that left the company before it really got into trouble were always calling me and saying, "Get out of there, you know, come make labels for us, you know." But they couldn't support me, so I better not, you know. So I stayed in there till the very end. It was almost the very end of the company.
Wow. So John, you grew up at 14 in the new business, A&B Labels. And A&B Labels, is that for Al Barcenas? Is that what A&B is?
Kind of a long story behind that. It yes and no. When he started, he kind of had a partner, Bill, so it was Al and Bill.
Okay.
But Bill decided it wasn't for him
Okay.
and left, but we liked the logo, and we liked that it was still kind of like Al Barcenas, so we kept A and B.
Okay.
And that's how that went about.
Now your sister does the accounting and has done. Did she start doing the accounting when you were young, or well, she finished college first, right?
Right. She went off and she worked in Houston for a while, and she came back and she started doing the accounting, and that's what her degree is in. And so she's run the accounting part of it and sales. We all kind of help each other.
And you have a brother in the business?
Yes, he's in production and sales, and he's the same thing. We all do what we need to do, and we help each other out.
And you have another sister that's not part of the business?
My oldest sister, she got married and moved away, and they have their own family business. Now they have it in Las Cruces and Santa Teresa. They own a motorcycle shop, Las Cruces Motorsports, which has 4 different shops across New Mexico. And so they have their own family business that they take care of.
So let me ask you, John, growing up in a business run by your father, Did that have any issues? Is that a difficult thing? Is it a good thing? Is it?
Well, just like any family business, if you ask, you have your ups and downs. You're always together. You know, you work together, you go home. Weekends, you have a birthday party or family party, you're always together. And I mean, so when you have issues, there's issues, but you try to work them out.
So how did you handle it?
I'm going to interrupt that
Yeah,
a little
please.
bit. We have an award from University of Texas
Uh-huh.
as the best business, family business in the city.
Really?
And that was given to us by UTEP,
Oh, I remember they had a family business program.
right?
Okay, so you won the award
So,
for best
you know, that's part of being able to, everybody kept telling me family business don't work, you know.
Yeah.
And that's scary when everybody tells you the same thing. But we're there, we're still hanging around fighting each other, but we're there.
How did you make it work?
Trying to understand all three of them. Everybody thinks different. Everybody has different ideas. And they come to me and I get all those ideas and trying to work it into one idea.
Really?
And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
So what is your role now with the business? Because you still go to the business.
Every day.
Really?
Every day. He still goes in every day. Goes, checks up and see what's going on. He's still president of the business.
Oh, okay. So you still make the big decisions?
Well, not really, you know. I let them make it. I just sit on the side as a referee.
Okay.
If anybody has any gripes, you know, about what they're talking about, I try and level them off, try to make each other understand their ideas. So we make one out of it, all three. And I can compromise, I can understand, and I'm not pushy, but they listen to me because, you know, they say I done good. I treat them all equal. Nobody's a favorite because I listen to all of them.
So, so in building a business, what is the biggest ingredient that you think people have to build a business?
Well, there's a few ingredients, okay?
Okay.
Number one, know what you're doing. And that's it with everybody, right? Learn what you're doing. Be sure you know what you're doing. And don't just jump into the water, you know. You might not have a bottom, you know. So make sure you study exactly what you're getting into. But like I had said before, there's a lot of hidden little things that we don't think about when you get into the business, you know. Even I'll go this far, but who cleans the restrooms, you know? The little problems like that you better have a plan for it. Because if not, as those ideas come up, it makes it harder on the business. It makes it harder on the people. So the best thing to do is think about it, study it, know that you know the business. There's a lot of people that go out and open a business because he was working for me, you know, but he didn't know what was going on inside the office. And they go out there and then they turn into what I call them garage shops, you know. And at one time we had a lot of garage shops because they could go out and buy a machine. The machines were given to you, you know, as long as you take them in. That's not all there is to it, having a machine in your garage. What that did was it ruined our printing market. Everybody lower the price, where they didn't have to pay insurances, they didn't have to pay a lot of little stuff that was involved. So they could sell for half of what I sold. Okay. And they ruined the business. They ruined it completely. This was a completely new business in this area. There was nobody around from here to Dallas, Denver,
Wow.
and I'd say Phoenix. that could do what we're doing. But when my copycats came in, selling stuff at half price.
But they couldn't print labels, could they, right off the bat?
Well, no, but no and yes, okay? Because we're involved in all the printing, not only label. We can print most anything you want. But any little segment of printing that they would get in, they would run it because they didn't know the pricing.
Wow. So, John, how did you survive all of that?
Well, it's been a tough road. I mean, you have a lot of changes. Everything in the last few years has changed. You know, a lot of our printing was manuals and inserts that went into products that were being built and manufactured in Mexico and here in the United States. With the new technology, now you open up something, it's not pull out a manual and read the manual, it's go online and download the manual. So a lot of that type of business has gone away. I mean, it was a big part of El Paso. We were doing a lot of manuals, instruction sheets for a lot of the manufacturers. But since that type of business has gone away, you have to look in other directions for new stuff. So we're always looking to see what we can do that's different and what's new. And our biggest thing is our label. Like we said, we do a lot of printing, commercial printing stuff, you know, letterheads, envelopes, and stuff like that. But our main source of printing is labels, and we try to we manufacture labels for a lot of local companies and, you know, large corporations. And to keep up with their demand is what we have to do, and we have to see what's out there and what we can change and how we can make it better. And that's what we're.
So let me ask you, how many machines? What kind of machines do you have, and how many?
Printing presses, we have. I want to say 12 printing presses. Label machines, we have 3, which are, you know, the main source of our business. And we have, you know, the offset, and then we have the folding machines and bookmakers and paper cutters and everything in that sense. But the label machines are what we really look after.
And they're pretty expensive machines?
With the new technology that's coming out, yes, they've changed quite a bit. There's a lot of digital printers now that really the old pressman that you used to have, you don't have anymore. Now you need a computer operator, and those machines are high tech. We don't have one yet, but it's something that you've got to look at the future at. But we went to Chicago in September and looked around, and it's really amazing what's coming out.
Wow. So, Mr. Barcenas, you've built a business. You've been in printing for your whole life, your adult life.
Just about.
What's the future of A&B labels? What do you see?
Well, I'll tell you, number one, I have a lot of faith in my family. I think that they've seen what we have gone through, what I have gone through, and they're not just going to drop it. I think my family will keep it going because they're keeping themselves up to what's going in technology. You know, technology right now in the print is the biggest technology going besides the computers. Because, you know, they're fantastic machines now. It's like the old car, you had to crank it to start. Yeah. That's the old business, you know. Now, they're so automatic, you just push a button. And I think that the business, with them staying together like they are now, they will succeed.
You know, I've always admired you. I met you years ago when you were building you're expanding and building your business, and as I learn from you and learn from John, I've learned to respect that respect you have for your children, the respect they have for you, my respect for you now expands to your children. But let me ask you, John, what have you learned from your father?
Well, most of all is I know when he left Farah, he was really not a businessman. He went out and did something on his own. He took the chance. He took a chance on something that was way different than working for somebody. And by doing that, I mean, we have all seen it and been through it. There was hard times, there was good times, and he always stuck with it. And he always pushed and figured out what to do. And now that we've taken over, pretty much, we go by the same basis. We push and we strive to do our best. And the way he ran business is the way that I've learned to run a business, because I've really never been anywhere else. I did work at a shoe store when I was younger, but that was nothing compared to what we took on. And just watching what he did is what I had to learn from. And there was mistakes, and you try to change it, and I've made mistakes, but we've kept it all together. And like you said, what's the future? The future is keep going, work hard, do something that you enjoy. I enjoy doing it. The family enjoys doing it. So that's what is going to keep us together.
And you've got a son?
Yes, I have a son that since he was in high school, he's been working with us, and he's in there, and it's what he knows. And hopefully someday I can push it on to him and I can retire.
How many children do you have?
I have a son and a daughter.
Ah,
My she's not in the business, but
We're really into a third generation of taking over the business.
isn't that great?
That we're looking that far ahead.
Had you planned that? Did you plan that?
Yes, because if you were to read my will, you see it's in there that the Barcenas family will control it, and the way the will is written. Yes.
So you not only built a business, you built a family at the same time, in concert. What's that like? John, let me ask you, what is that like?
it's, if I'm answering it right, he's kept us together, and he always has. He's always been the type to try to keep it together, and I built this for you all, and I want you to keep it going with whatever it is. At this point in time, I'm the only one that has a son that's in there. The daughters have gone off and done their own thing, but if it's to pass it on, that's what we look at, is for the legacy to keep going.
So as you struggle to you built this. What is it to build a business? What is it? I mean, you worked at Fire 20 years. You didn't have to build that. That was there. But you come and you start on your own, and you built this business. What is it? What is it to build a business?
You really have to have a desire to get into it, that you want to run it yourself, and that you want something that you want to call your own, and not have a lot of owners. You gotta have it up here, not in smarts, but in thought, that this company is going to be mine, it will be his, it'll be his son, and on down the line. Something that will give you freedom of your grandkids, not to have to go through some of the things that I went through. Okay, I had a hard, young life, and I did a lot of different little things. I worked at different places, and it was big sacrifices, you know. At age 11, I was delivering the paper downtown. Snow, come rain, come water, you know. At age 10, I started working at a service station, serving gas. Okay, and then I went on to work for Ramsey Steel in the steel mills. You know, not a steel mill, but he was the only supplier of steel here in town. You know, so I went through that. I went into the tile business, where I had to go up the fire escapes with 5 gallons of cement. And, you know, hard work. I mean, it was just hard work.
So you're a hard worker? You're just a flat hard worker?
I used to be. I still have that anxiety to do it, you know. But then, you know, time takes a lot away from you. I can think, you know, I can handle myself, but I wish I could be doing the same thing, you know.
But you're at work every day. You still go. John, as we come to the end of our program, what final thoughts do you have? Do you have some final thoughts that you can share?
I mean, going back on everything, I appreciate the sacrifice that he made, stepping out, starting his own business, looking at it to leave it to us successful. And I look at it at the same thing, leaving it to whoever kids are left and leaving a successful business.
Fantastic.
It's family owned, so it's whoever's there, and it's just something that I will always look up to him for doing that.
It's so building a business was success for you, and keeping it going and sustaining the success for your children and down the line. Well, I appreciate your story very much. It's been it's been an honor to listen to your story, and I trust that our viewers have learned a lot of history and the struggle it is to build a business. We thank you for watching, and we ask you to stay tuned for the program Hispanic Biz whenever you can. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.